Section 2.1, Symmetry. A graph is symmetric with respect to the x-axis if for every point xy on the graph, the corresponding point x negative y is also on the graph. So on this picture, we can see, for example, if this point x1, y1 is on the graph, the corresponding point x1 negative y1 is also on the graph. So we can see this mirror image across the x-axis, which is one way of looking at symmetry. If we folded our paper across the x-axis, we would see a mirror image across. A graph is symmetric with respect to the y-axis if for every xy on the graph, the corresponding point negative x, y is also on the graph. So on this picture here we can see if the point x1, y1 is right here, its corresponding point negative x1, y1 across the y-axis here is also on the graph. So if we folded our paper across the y-axis here, that's our axis of symmetry. If we folded the paper there, we'd have a mirror image across that y-axis. A third type of symmetry we're going to look at is symmetry with respect to the origin. A graph is symmetric with respect to the origin if for every xy on the graph, the corresponding point negative x, negative y is also on the graph. So if we look at this picture, here's a point x1, y1. The corresponding point negative x1, y1 is also on this graph. We can see origins, symmetry with respect to the origin is a rotational type of symmetry. So that means we can't fold our paper any certain way and see a mirror image. Instead, if we rotated our paper 180 degrees, we would have a mirror image. So you can see this symmetry with respect to the origin almost looks like kind of like a diagonal type shape, and that's because of the rotational symmetry. We're going to learn how to test equations of graphs for symmetry. These three types of symmetry: symmetry with respect to the x-axis, y-axis, and the origin. The test we're going to use to test for symmetry with respect to the x-axis, we're going to plug in a negative y for y in the equation and check if we get the same equation back. To test for symmetry with respect to the y-axis, we're going to plug in a negative x for x and check if we get an equivalent equation. To test for symmetry with respect to the origin, we're going to plug in a negative y for y and a negative x for x and check if we get an equivalent equation.